Hi friends! Welcome back to Chapter 3 of our Emotive Abstract drawing series. I'm excited to bring together what we've learned so far into our final project for this session, for the Abstract series. My name is Vessna Scheff, and you can use she or her pronouns to refer to me. And I work mostly with watercolor, and so that's why I've been using watercolors here. But a lot of people who I know who like to make art use a variety of different mediums, such as markers or crayons or colored pencils or different types of paint. So there's acrylic paint or oil paint. And so people use a lot of different mediums. I happen to use watercolor, but if you have markers or crayons, that's going to be perfect for today, or colored pencils. Okay, well, let's get started. We're going to do some movement to get ourselves warmed up before we get into our drawings. So find your room, make sure you have enough space around you, and I think I'm feeling like lunging today, or at least in this moment today. So I'm going to spread my legs out so they're going like this, and my feet are facing forward, and I'm going to lunge to one side, bend my leg and stretch this other leg straight out like that. And I'm going to come back to the middle, and then I'm going to lunge to the other side. So I'm bending this leg and stretching this leg out straight, so it kind of looks like this. So you can see what my legs are doing. And I'm going to go back this way. And make sure that I'm breathing, taking deep breaths in and out as I'm doing this. Maybe rotate my head as I do this. Now I'm doing some kind of weird dance move. Okay, and then come back up and maybe stretch back and do kind of a little back bend. Now I'm going to stretch my arms like this behind my back and bring them up. And you can also lean down and do this. Sometimes that makes for a nice stretch. You can also twist a little bit. Okay, and then shake it out. You can also shake out your jaw by going like this, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes my jaw gets tight, so I like to do that. And you can jump around, do any other moves you feel like doing. And come to your drawing space. So I have my clipboard, as usual. And we're going to start with a piece of paper. You can set it up on your drawing space. Yours might be flat. Mine is vertical, so I can share with you what I'm doing. You don't have to do anything like what I'm doing. This is just to share in case you're looking for some ideas or you're just curious to see what I'm doing. If I did it like this, then you wouldn't be able to see, and then we wouldn't be able to have a collaborative experience in doing this. So here's my paper. I'm going to be using watercolors today as my medium. And we're going to start with filling this whole page with color and also marks. I think I'm actually going to start with doing the marks first. So I just want to fill this whole page with all different types of marks. They could be similar to the ones we did in the first chapter, where they show different emotions, or they could just be kind of like wandering around the page like we did in the second chapter. But we're going to spend 3 minutes filling this page with marks. So I'm going to set a timer and also put on some music. On your mark, get set, and draw. All right, go ahead and stop where you are at. So we filled our page with a bunch of different marks. Really found I was wandering all over the place with my marks, which is really fun to do. So now we're going to fill this whole page with color. We aren't necessarily trying to do anything in particular. We're not trying to draw anything in particular unless you feel like it. You can just make whatever marks. They don't have to mean anything, but they could depending on how you're feeling. And the same thing goes for the color. So with your markers or your pencils or crayons, we're going to fill this page with all different types of color. And we don't have to stay within our lines. We can go over them. We can blend around them. Just fill the page with color. Make sure you try and get all the way to the edge of the page too. Okay, so we're going to spend the next 5 minutes filling this paper with color. When you're ready, go ahead and get started. I'm going to put the music back on. What we're listening to are instrumental tracks to songs that I've written. So I meet up with one of my friends who is a producer, and together we put together these songs. So that one was called Echoes. And it talks about the people that you meet and how they leave an impact on who you are. So even if it's like a small moment or a big moment, there are lots of ways in which people have an impact on our lives. So that one was called Echoes. Keep filling in your page with color. Trying to go all the way to the edge. All right. Go ahead and wrap up your filling in your page, either with markers, crayons, pencils, or paint. And just take a look at what you did for a second. Things you can think about as you look at your own work are what you feel like you did well in it, what you feel like was effective, that it accomplished what you wanted it to accomplish. And another thing you can think about is something you might do differently for next time. Because each time we paint, it's like practice. We learn something that will help us do it differently in the future. So those are things you can think about when you're looking at your own work. So with this, I really like how the lines in here are really dark and intense, and this color on top of it, this maroon, is a very dark and charged color. So I like how those two things overlap in this piece that I did. So you can take a look at yours and think about what those things would be for you. You can also share it with anyone around you if you're doing this with someone, or if you're doing it by yourself, you can just appreciate the work that you did. So while this, for me, it has to dry just a little bit. While this dries, I wanted to share with you an artist who I came across, who I think makes some really wonderful art, and I think is similar to what we're talking about today in doing abstract art. Her name is Alma Thomas. This is her name here, Alma Thomas. And this is a picture of her painting, I believe it's in her kitchen. She has a kitchen studio space. She has a big piece of paper out and she's doing some abstract drawings, paintings. She was the first Black woman to have an art show at the Whitney, which is a museum. And she does these abstract pieces. So here she's using watercolor, I believe, and combining a lot of different colors together. I like the blending that she gets in that piece. She also didn't have her first solo art show until she was 82 years old. So if you are younger than 82, you started much earlier than her in drawing and painting. So here is another piece that she did. I really like the shape in this. I feel like circles are really soothing to look at for me. And the variety of colors that all come together and repeat, I think are really nice. Creates a very peaceful energy for me. She got a lot of her inspiration from nature, the moon and the stars and the sun. So you might be able to see some of that in the work that she did. this first one that I showed you, I'll come back to. This one reminds me of a field of flowers all growing together. Okay, so Alma Thomas, you can keep her in mind as we finish up our project for today. So we have this very colorful, abstract, emotive piece that we did. We're going to do something kind of surprising with it. So we're actually going to cut up or tear up this piece of paper into a bunch of small pieces that we are going to collage together on a separate piece of paper. So if you have scissors, go ahead and start cutting this up. If you don't have scissors, you can also just use your hands and tear up your piece of paper. If you were doing this in your sketchbook, you can take it out of your sketchbook and then start tearing it up, or you can tear it up right from the edge in your sketchbook. So I'm going to start tearing up mine. Sometimes I like to look at the side that I'm tearing up, and other times I like to have it be a surprise. So if I have the white side facing me, then I get kind of a surprise piece, and I don't know how they're going to turn out. So if you have scissors, you could be using scissors to tear up or cut up your painting or drawing that you did. We're going to make a bunch of smaller pieces out of this larger piece. See if you can get a few different types of shapes in your cutouts. So I have some small skinny pieces here. I also have this larger piece, which I think I'm going to tear into, yeah, kind of blob like that. And then, oh, that's an interesting shape, kind of like that. So just kind of see what kind of shapes you can get as you are drawing and tearing it up. Or sorry, cutting and tearing it up. Some of your pieces might be small, others might be much larger. Okay, I have got a collection of pieces here, which I'm now ready to collage onto a totally separate piece of paper. So it's kind of like when we have a paint palette, we have all these colors that we can choose from. Sort of similar with collage. With collage, you have all of these colors and shapes that you can choose from and put together in a new way to create a new image. It just hit my funny bone. So I'm going to get a blank piece of paper and bring it onto my art surface. And I'm also going to need some tape or some glue, if I have glue. I'm going to grab tape because that is what I have. And I'm going to start to put together my collage piece. So I'm going to take a piece of tape here. And I like to fold it up so you can't see when I put it behind one of the pieces of collage paper. And I'm going to start to design my final piece using these collage pieces. I think the way that collage pieces pop off the page, and they're kind of 3D, you know, like if you've seen those cards that pop up off the page, when you open them, sometimes they stick up. Or sometimes books do that too. They pop out at you. I like that effect that you can get when you do collage. It's also nice if you mess up on a drawing, you can still use it just by tearing it up like this and then putting it into a new piece. Kind of like how these, you could tell that these were next to each other, but they're spaced out a little bit differently on my collage than they were on the painting that I did. So you can spread out your collage pieces and consider where you might want to place them. Another thing I like about collage is you can test pieces out in different areas of your paper. Kind of like that one there. So this is where mine is at so far. I'm curious how yours is doing. If you are with someone else in the space, feel free to share your collage piece with them. Maybe talk about what you're thinking about it, how you're feeling about it, and what ideas you have. If you are by yourself like I am, you can just take a look at it. Maybe take a moment to pause and reflect on what you think might go next, and then keep adding your collage pieces until you feel like it's done. All right, so that's our project for today and the cumulative project for this week. I hope you had a great time. I really enjoy being able to do these art sessions with you. It brings me a lot of joy. So thanks so much for doing art with me, and I will see you again soon. Bye.